Selected. Take a moment to recover your breath. This is not an accident. It was predetermined by the divine. The fact that your spirit was pulled to this spot indicates that something in the unknown has altered in your favor. You are on the verge of a miraculous watershed moment, a divine appointment that was planned long before you were aware of the transformation that God was planning for you. Anointed One. You are not simply watching a movie. You are answering to a divine summons. For years, you put up with the pressure, straining, and shaking. None of this was arbitrary. Every test delay and covert fight was preparing you for a level of power and wealth that only a chosen vessel can achieve. God does not give billionaire-level wealth to those who are unprepared. He pours them into hands that have been refined by fire, humbled by process, and fortified by purpose. Chosen. The wealth that is approaching your life is not for luxury. It relates to the assignment. It refers to prophecy. It refers to the idea of heaven financing what earth has tried to prevent. According to Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, the vision awaits an appointed time, and that time has arrived. Allow your essence to expand. Accept the situation. The information you are about to learn will reawaken your understanding of why God chose you and the mantle you were born to carry. Selected. Heaven rarely begins its action in your life by the use of noise. At first, it comes gently, like a pressure in your spirit that you can't explain, like a knowing that won't go away, like a vision that appears to be far more expansive than the resources at your disposal. For an extended period of time, you have felt a sense of weight, a draw toward an entity unlike anything you have ever seen. The reasoning is clear. You are currently witnessing the early stages of a supernatural ascent that has already begun in your area, despite the fact that your eyes have not yet acclimated to the circumstance. Anointed One. Heaven was precisely organizing your moves, which is why certain doors closed brutally while others opened sweetly. The path you took was not an accident. Each delay, disappointment, and season in which your resources did not match your calling was a divine arrangement that brought you to this point of revelation. I am familiar with the sensations of such seasons, having personally experienced them. During these times, the vision in my heart felt too weighty for my reality, and I wondered why God would show me something that appeared impossible. However, in reflection, I have come to realize that size is not a barrier to success. It indicates that the vision was not mine, but His. Selected. You've been carrying a vision that is too big for the natural world, and it was never meant to be funded by the natural. Heaven has been preparing you for prosperity that comes from divine mission, not selfish ambition. The calling that controls your life does not fit into small expectations or comfort zones. It is the type of force that requires a supernatural source to interrupt cycles, reform systems, restore communities, and reconstruct areas that others have abandoned. This is why your spirit has been unsettled. You have felt a load that refuses to leave, and the dream persists despite your efforts to put it to rest. When God relieves a load with an eternal purpose, it keeps you from falling asleep. It extends, attracts, and propels you towards the version of yourself that He always knew you could be. This is the point where the revelation begins. God chose you to become a billionaire not out of expediency, but because of a feeling of calling. The issue assigned to your existence requires resources on a scale that is not widely acknowledged. Your hands will repair systems, reconstruct voices, amplify generations, and liberate those whose lives you touch. These aren't $1 million responsibilities. These assignments are worth in billions of dollars. The vastness may not be totally apparent to you at this moment, but it is clear to heaven. The transformation you aim to incite is so vast that resources that are not comparable to those of a billionaire will be insufficient. Anointed One. I have personally witnessed how God prepares an individual for an event of this magnitude. The breaking comes before the blessing. The drainage occurs before the elevation. Prior to the plenty, there is a pruning that removes anything that is incapable of sustaining the weight of glory. I recall occasions when I lacked both financial belongings and faith, when it appeared that heaven was silent, and I wondered whether I had misread the calling. However, each valley presented an opportunity for me to perceive His voice. I gained humility from every challenge. With each delay, I learned to trust God's timing above my own. Chosen one. Your story follows the same pattern. You did not go through the ordeal by chance. You were prepared for responsibilities, which is why you managed to survive. You were not weakened by the suffering, rather it molded you. The challenges did not disqualify you. Instead, they helped you hone your skills. Isolation did not bury you. Instead, it revealed your true essence. You are living proof that heavenly duties are not underfunded by God. He assures that the burden is proportional to the blessing, and the burden you bear is too expensive to be paid for with anything less than heaven's rich gift. The world may not understand the enormity of your aspirations. However, heaven does, because they were composed by the divine. This is why you feel the weight of nations, communities, families, and crooked institutions on your heart. This is why your vision frightens those with restricted perspectives. This is why others who have settled for less are terrified by your fate. When God chooses an individual to wear a mantle of this significance, the preparation is hard, but the purpose is undeniable. Chosen one, this is your time of waking. Heaven is not asking you to reduce the size of your vision. The heavens are expanding your capacity. God is not asking you to adhere to the world's idea of wealth. He is training you to reimagine the look of supernatural prosperity once it is in the hands of those who have surrendered. The hand that held you in the desert is now guiding you to heavenly plenty. The explanation is straightforward. The demand on your life is billion scale, and God is on the verge of supplying the funding. Chosen one. I encourage you to broaden your spiritual awareness as we continue to study this revelation, for the information I am going to offer is more than just information. It is a gift. At this point, heaven connects your identity with your assignment. The mantle on your life is heavier, which is why you've always felt different. Your journey has been unique, and your load has been more than that of those around you. You were never asked to take on regular chores. You were chosen to wield influence that will change generations, and such power cannot be entrusted to those who have not been tried. God felt forced to lead you through fires that consumed the parts of you that would have folded under strain. He was required to silence the voices that were incapable of accompanying you on your quest for destiny. To guarantee that you could hear Him clearly, He had to isolate you. Despite what appeared to be desertion, it was actually alignment. The type of alignment that only occurs when heaven is preparing a person for supernatural ascent. When God selects a person for billionaire stewardship, they are anointed. He does not begin by heaping wealth on them. He begins by allocating them a percentage. Psychological weight. The value of compassion. Decisiveness. Responsibility is prioritized. This is why your heart breaks for things that other people ignore. This is why injustice affects you more than it does others. This is why you feel driven to address issues that others have come to tolerate. Sensitivity is not indicative of weakness. It demonstrates that God has wired you as a solution to the pain that has gone unresolved for centuries. I am personally aware of this. At times, I wished to stop being so concerned. There were times when I wished to be free of the burden. Despite my best attempts, the compassion persisted. At the time, I had no idea that the load was evidence of the vocation. The same holds true for you, selected one. Your spirit is deeply impacted by broken systems and damaged individuals since you are responsible for a healing mission. You carry the mantle of a reformer. You have the heart of someone who has survived fire without becoming frigid. Your compassion is costly since it stems from suffering. Compassion that is rooted in suffering has the potential to transform the world. This is why you have been chosen by heaven. You are aware of the anguish of being ignored. You are aware of the misery of starting with nothing. You are acquainted with the misery of silence, lack, and betrayal. Instead of allowing it to destroy you, you enabled it to educate, soften, and deepen you. That is the type of spirit in which heaven places its whole trust. Chosen one, God chose you to be a billionaire because the wealth bestowed upon you is not designed to boost your ego. It is intended to increase the scope of your impact. Your scope is meant to be enlarged. It is designed to give structure, strategy, and size to the compassion you already have. Anyone can be concerned about an issue, but only a chosen few are capable of resolving it. In addition, resources are required to remedy challenges. The reason God bestows billionaire-level wealth on a person is that the problems linked with their name require a solution of a size that can only be addressed through supernatural funding. This has been a presence in your mind. Every time you tried to narrow the vision to fit your current resources, a part of you objected. Your spirit rejected each attempt to dream smaller because it seemed safer. Every time you tried to address a problem, it made life more uncomfortable. The discomfort was not a kind of punishment. It was a miraculous upheaval. God will never allow a chosen individual to establish themselves in a location that does not reflect their calling. You have been guided through seasons that required you to rely purely on faith like the prophets did in the past. There were times when trust was all you had, when God's quiet pushed you to discover His presence in unexpected ways, and when the only thing holding you together was the belief that your tale could not end in a state of deprivation. Those moments did not imply that God had forgotten about you. He trained your endurance for billionaire-level stewardship in the spiritual gym. People are ruined by wealth that does not come with maturity. People are corrupted by affluence that does not bring healing. Individuals become misled by prosperity without a spiritual foundation. However, you, the Anointed One, have been cleansed of anything that may have contaminated you. You've been stripped of everything that could have led you to go blind. You have been advised to rely on Him because the prosperity bestowed upon you must be routed via a surrendered vessel rather than a self-centered one. This explains why heaven has been so attentive to you. You successfully finished assessments that you were not aware you were taking. When it would have been easy to compromise, you chose integrity. You chose charity during the seasons above maintaining everything, even if it would have been more reasonable. Despite the fact that fear was more widespread, you chose faith. Purpose was prioritized over pleasure. These selections determined your preparation. The decisions you took demonstrated to heaven that you could be trusted with power, impact, and overflow. Chosen one. Your suffering is not normal, and neither are the obligations you have been assigned. The responsibility for your life needs an individual who can bear spiritual weight without collapsing, which is why you were created, processed, and refined in a unique way. The next stage of your journey, Anointed One, isn't about striving. It refers to alignment. Heaven is synchronizing opportunities, relationships, ideas, tactics, and resources to help you make the shift to divine wealth transfer. Furthermore, the move is not arbitrary. Targeted. It's deliberate. It is designated for individuals who have allowed God to shape their character in the hidden places. In addition, you are one of them. You have been assigned a position specifically for this purpose. You have been well prepared for this situation. You have been identified for this. The riches that is coming is more than just a blessing. It is mandatory. The mandate is going to be fulfilled in a way that validates your intuitions. Dear Chosen One, as we move into the next dimension of the message, I'd like you to become aware of your current spiritual state. The sense of awakening is nearly exhilarating, accompanied by a tightness and stirring. That's not a sensation. That is alignment. The proof frequently shows in the spirit before any changes occur in the natural, as heaven begins to set a selected individual for a supernatural wealth mantle. You begin to feel drawn to an uncertain future. You begin to outgrow surroundings that were once comfortable. There is a growing realization that the things that once made you happy are no longer acceptable for the person you are becoming. This holy dissatisfaction is heaven's way of informing you that the season you're entering requires a different version of yourself, one that aligns with divine wealth, divine purpose, and divine strategy. Anointed. 1. You are unaware that you have already faced the most difficult part of your preparation. Your perception was greatly influenced by the desolate seasons you endured. The seasonal vacuum influenced your gratitude. The winter month's seclusion influenced your hearing. Your sensitivity was inspired by the painful season. Whenever you felt forgotten, heaven was sheltering you from early exposure. You weren't hidden because of your insignificance. Because you were being refined, you were hidden. God does not release a chosen one until the weapon is fully created, and you have been made in fire, assuring that nothing that resists your calling can destroy you. One that has been selected. Heaven is aware of one thing about you: duress has made you stronger rather than lesser. While others were swept away by less severe storms, you fought through hurricanes and kept your faith. Although others complained about the difficulties they experienced, you learned to pray through them. While others cursed their difficulties, you were able to learn and grow from yours. At the time, you had no idea that each of those replies was creating the blueprint that heaven needed to entrust you with billionaire-level management. Someone who has already been through hell will not be overwhelmed by luxury. Influence cannot corrupt someone who has already let rid of their ego. A person who has already learned to prioritize God over all else will not be persuaded by opportunity. You were created via the breaking. You will be exposed by the rising sun. Another argument for why heaven chose you, chosen one, is as follows. You do not have any small ideas. Your spirit remained unwavering even during the most terrible times. Your vision stayed clear even when your bank account was drained. Despite the disbelief of others, a part of you could not stop daydreaming. You may not have understood it, but heaven did. It is uncommon to have the ability to carry out a vision in the absence of resources. Many people ask for confirmation before relocating. Many people require funds before taking action. Numerous people require security before complying. However, you migrated with no possessions. You were lacking of conviction. There was no opposition from you. This is why heaven will give you everything. God always provides financing to those who comply before the blessing arrives. The wealthy persons who are anointed make plans for their convenience. Billionaires and their chosen companions have devised tactics for assignment. Furthermore, you have consistently prioritized tasks even when you couldn't explain them. Your spirit leans toward effect rather than image. Your thoughts are obsessed with solutions rather than status. You envisage the transformation of entire systems rather than just improving your own circumstances. That's not an accident. This is how wiring works. The divine put in your intellect the ability to comprehend the cosmos, not as it is, but as it could be. And this type of attitude is harmful to darkness, which lives on stagnation. However, you, the chosen one, were born with the intrinsic ability to disassemble the broken and rebuild what is possible. Heaven chooses these folks to wear billionaire mantles because the wealth they possess serves as a chance for transformation rather than a source of temptation. I'd like to talk something really personal right now. You frequently wondered why you were burdened with duties that were not your own. The reason you felt responsible for people you didn't know. What was the cause of your tears for communities you'd never visited? The cause for the deep emotional impact of specific injustices on your heart. This is because you were doing more than just demonstrating empathy. You were doing an assignment. When God places a load on a chosen one, it is not for emotional reasons. It is meant for future stewardship. Your wealth will soothe your current misery. Your tears were prophetic seeds that grew in the soil of the efforts you were supposed to support. As the chosen one, it is critical that you understand this topic precisely. You are not receiving wealth to escape the world. You receive riches in order to influence it. The financial surplus linked with your name is not designed to encourage you to retire into isolation. It is intended that you serve as a foundation for future generations, as a voice liberator, healer, builder, and reformer. You are being groomed as a financial pillar in the kingdom. Individuals who use their power to make a difference rather than for personal gain. Resources at the level of heaven are required to make an influence at your level. As a result, the conflict against you has been particularly intense. Darkness confronts its fears, and it fears an anointed one who has been selected and has resources. The current transition is irreversible. The doors that are being opened have been sealed with divine timing. Prior to your initial prayer, the approaching ascent was noted in your spiritual record. The prosperity that is presently reaching you is not coincidental. It has been especially designed for you. Heaven is preparing you for a function that can only be filled by a refined, changed, and surrendered vessel. The mantle is real. The time is approaching. Furthermore, you are prepared whether you realize it or not. Selected. As we go deeper into this prophetic revealing, your spirit may be recognizing that you are approaching a tipping point. This is not a product of your imagination. This is an acknowledgement. Heaven has known about you since before you were created, and your inner world is now recognizing this. Unlike little assignments, you were intended for larger ones. You were meant to be influential, not insignificant. You were chosen for your generational significance, not for your transient achievement. Every divine whisper, spiritual nudge, and moment when your heart was drawn to something larger served as a divine reminder of your true identity. Anointed One. One of the most clear evidence that an individual has been selected by God for a billionaire-level vocation is that their spirit surpasses their surroundings in advance of any changes in their circumstances. You have outgrown your previous relationships' objectives and restrictions, as well as the ones on which you relied. This is owing to the fact that your destiny has been evolving in the background. Your spirit was expanding, stretching, and evolving for the next level of your job, despite the fact that your outward world remained unchanging. This expansion is responsible for the deep internal turmoil you've experienced. You've felt a friction between your past self and the person you're growing into. You have felt the stress of knowing there is more to come, but you are unable to fathom the process. You have felt frustrated by carrying a vision that looks to be too heavy for your current season. Nonetheless, it is vital that you understand a key principle. That tension is spiritual dilatation. Heaven has been preparing to provide a new level of purpose via you, and each spiritual constriction you felt was an indication that something amazing was developing within you. I am personally aware of this. There were times in my life when I felt like everything was quickly peeling away. It seemed as if the formerly secure spaces were suddenly too small. The prospects I had previously celebrated seemed to be mismatched. I no longer felt comfortable in the illusions I once pursued. At the time, it felt like a loss. Nevertheless, I eventually realized that it was heaven's way of nudging me away from comfort and toward a calling. Chosen one. You have been going through the same divine change. The seeming rejection resulted in redirection. Liberation was the outcome of what appeared to be a defeat. God was releasing your grip on a life that was incapable of supporting the next level of your mission, which appeared to be unstable. This is why you were unable to handle the issue, despite the fact that it appeared to be a straightforward solution. Your spirit refused to compromise with destiny. The grandeur within you drove you to climb. Heaven refuses to allow you to decrease because you were created for bigger things. Untainted one. Your journey is marked by a specific pattern that explains why God chose you to play the role of a billionaire. You've always had a constructionist mindset. Even during your quietest seasons, you had a strong urge to mend the broken, revive the ailing, and improve the stagnant. You identified potential in people who did not realize it in themselves. You identified opportunities in areas that others had overlooked. The builder's personality is not accidental. It is an unavoidable component of your task. Billionaire mantles are conferred upon those who have the desire to rebuild, restore, and reform. Another reason why heaven chose you is your ability to withstand adversity without sacrificing your purity. There are many people who face adversity, but only a few of them survive with their hearts intact. Nevertheless, you succeeded. Life presented you with adversities that were supposed to fortify you. Instead, they served to purify you. Disappointments had the ability to exacerbate your bitterness, but they also provided an opportunity to improve your intelligence. Despite the fact that loneliness sought to tear you apart, it ultimately strengthened your relationship with God. Your spirit is quite unusual. Only those with tried and proven hearts are entrusted with vast wealth by the chosen one and heaven. Individuals with unproven hearts use affluence to boost their egos. Individuals with damaged hearts use wealth to validate themselves. However, people like you who have been healed, refined, and surrendered use riches as a tool for transformation. This is why heaven believes in you in billions. Not because you are perfect, but because you have been purified. Selected. There is a spiritual element to the way you love. You show a high amount of concern, sometimes going beyond what is appropriate. People underestimate your ability to pardon. You recuperate peacefully and without requiring an apology. You are present for others, even when they are not there for you. Despite the hurt they caused, those patterns have revealed the depths of your soul. This depth is critical to your mission because the wealth you possess must be used to assist humanity rather than just your family. Heaven is elevating someone whose compassion is genuine, not performative. Someone whose kindness is not conditional but rather instinctive. An individual whose heart has been ripped by injustice and who refuses to rest until healing occurs. Your qualification is the spirit. Your selection was based on your heart. Anointed one. No, the next stage of your path is not arbitrary. It's strategic. As you enter a season, doors you did not knock on will open. Connections will emerge that you forgot to pursue. Ideas will appear spontaneously. This is proof of divine intervention. Heaven is expediting what you have been prepared for with faith. You are entering a condition of supernatural alignment in which the goods you hold will eventually match to the forces approaching you. This is where provision connects with purpose. Vision connects with assets. The call's capacity has been met. The wealth that is being placed in your path is more than just a blessing. This is a commission. You have been anointed to offer financing for change, devise solutions, and rebuild the foundations that have been damaged throughout time. The mantle is now lying on your spirit. The resources are being routed to your name. Furthermore, heaven is prepared to reveal the reason for the difficult character of your path, as the work you were assigned is completely unique. Selected. As we continue to the next stage of your prophetic journey, your spirit may already be feeling the weight of the events occurring in heaven. The more profound this message is, the clearer it becomes that none of your events were unintentional. Every confusing season was basically a calibrating process. Everything that looked to be a delay was in fact divine planning. The tears you shed each night as you pondered why your life was more difficult than others were the result of preparing for a mantle that is far heavier than the average person will ever have to carry. Anointed one. When God chooses someone to become a billionaire, the process of developing them is not easy. It's unrelenting, precise, deliberate, and uncomfortable. Furthermore, you have been through that process for a longer amount of time than you were previously aware. The pressures that attempted to crush you ultimately carved you. Your spiritual lungs were really strengthened by the storms that tried to drown you. Your ability to discern souls was actually enhanced by the betrayals that caused you grief. Throughout it all, heaven was molding you into someone who can manage wealth without worshiping it, influence without idolizing it, and power without abusing it. Selected. A person's spirit senses destiny long before circumstances confirm it, which is one of the most obvious signals that heaven has chosen them for great elevation. Your existence has been defined by a sense of calm. Even as a child, a voice within you whispered that you were special, that your path would divert from that of your friends, and that the world would one day see you in ways you couldn't have imagined at the time. You were oblivious of the mechanism by which you became aware, yet the knowledge existed. And each time you tried to conquer it, it returned with more vigor. That knowledge left the stamp of paradise on your soul. Many people experience self-doubt as a result of the lack of an internal compass, an inner witness or a heavenly whisper to guide their behavior. But you have always had it. Despite the fact that your faith was tested, the certainty remained. Even when your confidence wavered, the knowledge remained steadfast. Even when your life was chaotic, the knowing whispered, "There is more for you." That murmur was not a result of imagination. Your divine identity was more important than your circumstances. Anointed. Another reason heaven has chosen you is your ability to work in a situation of scarcity while remaining conscious of abundance. You're aware of its uniqueness. The bulk of people's vision deteriorates as their finances decline. The majority of people modify their goals to match their financial resources. When evidence is unavailable, the majority of people decide to end their calls. However, you failed to do so. Your prayers were meaningful even when you had nothing. Your dreams were limitless, regardless of your circumstances. Your faith was overflowing even while your hands were empty. One of the most important conditions for divine prosperity is the ability to sense abundance in the face of lack, as this reveals that one's vision is not motivated by money, but by purpose. Individuals who rely on money to support their beliefs will shatter when the value of money is endangered. Individuals who believe in God, on the other hand, will succeed regardless of their circumstances. And you chosen one have continuously advanced, despite efforts by those around you to dethrone you. Heaven has seen an additional characteristic in you that is sometimes overlooked by people. You have an unusual level of resilience, the kind that not only survives calamities, but also learns from them. You do not simply tolerate adversity. It transforms you. you do not simply recover. You broaden. You do not simply prevail. You go through a process of metamorphosis. Each hurdle you faced acted as a stepping stone. Each loss presented an opportunity to learn. Every setback served as fuel. Suffering did not obstruct your objective. Your motivation helped you to put up with discomfort. That pattern represents divine evidence. A millionaire mantle is never conferred upon someone who fails beneath the burden of heaven. Heaven grants you the ability to transmute pressure into power. Life repeatedly tried to break you. You consistently emerged stronger. External influences constantly suppressed your calling. Your soul continued to howl with growing ferocity. I'd want to explore a concept that you may have struggled to understand. The abrupt change in your relationships was caused by the fact that not everyone could accompany you on your quest to become a billionaire. A few people were meant to be catalysts, while others were sent for a season or to teach a lesson. However, none of them were meant to take the place assigned for destiny mates. Individuals who left were not subtractions. These were divine removals. God does not allow all people to witness a chosen individual's ascension because it shows the hearts of those who were never meant to be with you. Heaven protected you from partnerships that could have jeopardized your career. Every departure represented heavenly protection disguised as disappointment, anointed one. Furthermore, you have a unique characteristic that sets you apart from the crowd, the ability to both envision and execute. There are people who have ideas but lack discipline. While others are disciplined but lack vision, you have both. You are hardworking and have a deep understanding. You have an adventurous imagination and a firm commitment to action. That combination is unique and divinely sanctioned. God requires people who can both dream and steward billions of dollars. Heaven has been training your hands and mind to hold more than you ever imagined imaginable, and you are one of the few capable of doing both. Chosen one, hear this clearly. You're not approaching a season. You are soon approaching a destiny appointment. Wealth coupled with your name is not a casualty. This is not a mere coincidence. It is not postponed. It arrives precisely on time and in perfect harmony with the version of yourself that is capable of carrying, controlling, multiplying, and implementing it. Heaven is not blessing you with prosperity to help you avoid the difficulties of life. Heaven is supplying you with wealth so that you might transform your existence. You are being groomed to be an impact conduit, a solution supplier, a breakthrough distributor, and a steward of heavenly resources. All of your previous experiences were training. The present is a period of preparation, whereas the future is a moment of purpose that unfolds in real time. As we move forward into the next stage of your development, Chosen one, I encourage you to take a deep breath and recognize that the emotions you are experiencing are divine confirmation. The atmosphere in your life is changing not because of your efforts, but because of the divine's decision. When God begins to accelerate a chosen one, it is the internal perception that changes first, not the exterior surroundings. Suddenly, what was once thought to be impossible seems inevitable. What was once viewed as far away now appears to be in near proximity. What was once overwhelming has evolved into a sense of destiny. This is the stage you are currently approaching, anointed one, the stage in which heaven exposes the truth that your spirit has always known, but your life has yet to manifest. One of the most deep mysteries of your journey, chosen one, is how God has allowed you to experience seasons that appear to be contrary to your vocation. Despite the fact that you were born with a destiny of prosperity, you have experienced periods of scarcity. You were chosen for a position of influence, yet you were subjected to periods of anonymity. You were summoned to advance, yet you endured despite periods of breakdown. This appears unjust to the natural mind, yet it is a divine tactic to the spiritual mind. God keeps his most powerful vessels hidden during seasons that refine them rather than destroy them. He allows pressure not as a sort of punishment, but as a method of preparation. He allows for delay in order to cultivate rather than negate. And each event he allowed in your life was developing you into an anointed person capable of bearing great responsibility without falling under it. Heaven values your ability to remain steadfast, even when the promise looks to be far away. That characteristic is quite uncommon. Many people are faithful when they can see results. Few people stay faithful when the results appear to be unreachable. However, you have persevered in the face of adversity while keeping a light alive in your heart. When your faith was low, you turned to prayer. Despite your emotions of nothingness, you have consistently shown your existence. Despite disappointment's efforts to suppress your imagination, you have persevered in your dreams. This is why the skies chose you for acclaim. God does not provide billionaire-level riches to hearts that are prone to quitting. He gives them a heart that is steadfast in its rejection to let darkness control its fate. You possess that spirit. The chosen one in heaven has also noticed a distinct feature in the method in which you accept responsibility. You don't flee from it. You do not hide behind rationalizations. You learn to bear the weight of life's duties. You were present when people counted on you no matter the cost. This isn't typical. This is a hallmark of leadership. This indicates a person on whom heaven may trust. Billionaire mantles are not bestowed to those who avoid responsibility. They are given to people who adopt them without any reward or appreciation. God has been developing capacity in you as evidenced by your desire to invest in others despite feeling drained yourself. Learning to be a leader does not come easily. It is the result of sacrifice. Your sacrifices have engraved a spiritual depth that cannot be taught. It must be experienced. Furthermore, there is a prophetic explanation for the wars you witnessed, Anointed One. The battle for your life was no accident. It served as confirmation. Darkness avoids combat with anything that does not pose a threat. The extent of your calling was precisely equal to the severity of your battles. The opposition was intimidated by an internal power within you every time something sought to obstruct you. Your potential voice, influence, and compassion, all of these have the power to disrupt systems based on darkness. This is why your path was more challenging than that of other people. You weren't attacked because of your weakness. You were being assaulted because you were chosen to be dangerous in spirit. Individuals considered hazardous are recognized early on. Dear Chosen One, I have a secret to tell you that heaven has been whispering about you for years. You're not trailing. You are not late. You're not experiencing any delays. You are in line with the divine purpose. God will restore everything you have lost. God will multiply each sacrifice you make. God will use exactly what broke you. God will redeem everything you've been through. Divine timeliness differs from human timing. Human time is a way for assessing progress based on age, accomplishments, and observable signs of success. However, divine timing indicates readiness, character preparedness, spiritedness, endurance readiness. Heaven has finally pronounced that you are ready, not fully prepared. The preparation was not completely ideal. The form is not yet completed. Anointed. The new season you're entering requires you to see yourself in the same way heaven does. You are not a wounded reincarnation of your past. You are no longer the insecure version of yourself from your childhood. You are not the exhausted version that has been sculpted by trauma. You are not the betrayed or shattered version of yourself. You are the refined, expanded, awakened, and powerful incarnation. This incarnation of you has been summoned to ascend to paradise. Simply because this is the version that can maintain wealth while being humble, influential, trustworthy, and purposeful. One that has been selected. The wealth that comes into your life will not change your identity. It'll reveal your genuine personality. A visionary reformer, healer, restorer, liberator, and creator. An individual who uses resources to make a difference rather than for personal gain. Someone who seeks purpose rather than celebrity. Someone who will not use affluence as a throne, but rather as a tool. A technology with the ability to transform generations, systems, communities, and lives. Heaven begins to explain the reason for your survival during this season. This season is when the mantle becomes evident. This is the season when divine prosperity begins to flow toward you, since the mission for your life cannot be postponed. You have been adequately prepared. You've been processed. You've been selected. Heaven is currently preparing you to take on the role that you were born to fulfill. One that has been selected. You may not be aware of it, but you are currently experiencing a level of spiritual clarity that is only possible when heaven decides that an individual is ready to take on their next job. For years, you carried questions, burdens, and ambiguities that led you to wonder if you were doing well or falling behind. However, God was also synchronizing your inner world with the mission that awaited you. This alignment represents the beginning of actual elevation, since destiny is constantly maturing internally before manifesting externally. The Anointed One of Heaven has been teaching you how to look beyond circumstances in order to eventually recognize the internal growth that has occurred within you. Battles that were once viewed as unjust now reveal their justification. They influenced your endurance, sharpened your discernment, and erased any identity that did not align with your calling. You were never in the position to lose. You were being polished, and as you gained more insight, the weight of your history began to change into fuel for the new season. One that has been selected. One of your most impressive traits is your ability to persevere in your spiritual efforts in the face of uncertainty. When uncertainty comes, many people get immobilized. Nevertheless, you developed a way to move forward through the mist, trusting on God to illuminate each step at the right time. Faith of that type is quite rare. Heaven has entrusted you with influence because of your faith. You do not need to have total clarity in order to comply. You simply need advice. Your obedience has given you the ability to handle tremendous duties. As an anointed one, you have also learned to sustain hope in seasons when it seemed impossible. That level of resilience is unusual. It represents a person who refuses to accept the restrictions imposed by dread or scarcity. Despite the fact that your circumstances indicated that you were being disregarded, your spirit insisted that a more significant entity was being developed. That persistence was not the result of hallucination. It represented an acknowledgement of spirituality. Despite the fact that your eyes were unable to see it, your consciousness was aware that the blessings in your future were sufficient to compensate for any difficulties. Another important truth that has been chosen is that you were born with a heart that is profoundly loving and very healing. Not everyone recovers from wounds in the same way that you do. Despite the fact that many people grow emotionally numb or cynical, you have turned your anguish into spiritual authority, empathy, and insight. You refrained from allowing bitterness to damage your goals. Rather, you allowed compassion to shape it. One of the reasons heaven can place so much trust in you is your ability to love without losing yourself. You have also demonstrated an extraordinary ability to expand, adapt, and develop as an anointed one, especially in the midst of adversity. This adaptability is essential for the upcoming assignment. Billionaire mantles are not bestowed on people with nervous spirits or stiff minds. They are assigned to those who can quickly adapt, innovate, and respond to divine guidance. Your path illustrates that you do not hold on to the past when God calls you onward. You proceed regardless of how unfamiliar the path seems. Despite the lack of clarity about the direction, you remain confident. This makes you unstoppable. The chosen one above has also noticed how you handled seasons when you were overwhelmed with obligations beyond your skills. You developed the ability to stretch your faith throughout times of financial hardship. How to remain consistent in the face of hardship, and how to persevere in one's goals in the face of discouragement from reality. During those seasons, spiritual muscles were strengthened. They told you to rely on God instead of solace. They taught you to rely on vision rather than affirmation, and they fostered in you the resilience that will serve you well as your impact grows. This is the reason heaven has made a decision about your life, anointed one. You're prepared. You are eager to overcome your former restrictions. Prepared to transfer to a provision that corresponds with your goals. Prepared to influence systems that previously ignored you and carry money without abandoning humility. The version of yourself that exists today is not the same as the one you were 5 or a year ago. You have become more spiritually aware, stronger, deeper, smarter, and capable of stewarding the blessings placed upon you. Heaven's ascension is predicated on the alignment of character and calling, which has now been finalized. As you progress, formerly locked doors will open, and previously unachievable opportunities will become available. This is not just a coincidence. It's the precise manifestation of divine timing. Because you have matured into the personality that heaven saw in you, you are entering an era in which provision will come to you easily. Chosen one, as we go into the next prophetic unfolding, I want you to recognize the emergence of something divine within yourself. Your spirit no longer responds as if it is expecting a breakthrough. It is reacting as if it understands that a breakthrough has already occurred. This interior metamorphosis is one of the most powerful signs that heaven is in motion. When preparing a chosen one for a role as enormous as billionaire-level stewardship, God's initial alteration is always a change in belief. Not belief in the sense of wishing for a certain outcome, but rather belief in eventually regaining a feeling of who you were before the world tried to undermine you. Anointed. This recollection is powerful. It is the point at when your identity coincides with the reality. Heaven never stops speaking to you, and when identity is reconciled, elevation is unavoidable, for heaven did not provide financing for misunderstanding. It offers clarity. One that has been selected. The fact that your spirit has begun to reject everything that feels little stagnant or spiritually misaligned is another sign that you are being prepared for divine wealth transfer. You may have recently noticed that your tolerance for mediocre performance has decreased. Things you formerly tolerated suddenly feel oppressive. The environments to which you once acclimated now feel overly restrictive. Conversations that were once entertaining are now draining. This is because your spirit understands that the forthcoming season requires bolder decisions, deeper insight, and higher frequencies. The divine prepares you for billionaire position, which considerably improves your discernment. You outgrow old circles, not because you are haughty, but because your anointing no longer fits into small places. You outgrow old habits not because you want to change them, but because fate is directing you toward the person you must become. Anointed. You have also entered a time in which the heavens are refining your sensitivity to divine timing. You are witnessing the birth of critical ideas, time-sensitive assignments, and possibilities that appear to be spiritually orchestrated. This was not an accident. This represents acceleration. When God begins to release supernatural momentum, time is compressed, Breaks are delayed, and stagnation is relieved. Rapid movement replaces long periods of anticipation. You begin to see progress in areas that were previously impassable. You begin to encounter people who have the answers to your prayers. Heaven's way of announcing that the allotted moment has arrived is for you to begin to attract opportunities that reflect your purpose. The prophet Habakkuk stated in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 that you are entering a phase in which the vision no longer pauses but speaks. One that has been selected. We should dive further deeper. Heaven has taken note of both your private stewardship and your public requests. The desire for development is ubiquitous, yet few people demonstrate consistency when their abilities are tested. Nonetheless, you have shown a distinct quality. You followed discipline when no one was looking, remained devoted when no one complimented you, and worked hard while no one was helping you. Despite the seeming lack of progress, you continued to work, study, pray, plan, and improve. Spiritual maturity is the true foundation for heavenly elevation, and persistence is evidence of it. God does not bless potential. He blesses preparation, and yours has been continuous, intentional, and shaped by adversity that would have toppled the majority of people. Despite your discouragement, you remained present every day, which sowed a seed. Every decision taken with integrity was a seed. Every unseen sacrifice was a seed, and the seedlings have grown into a harvest. Anointed one, it is critical to understand that this paradise is not only uplifting you for your own good. You are being raised because your existence is linked to individuals, communities, and future generations that require the resources that will be passed down via you. Building luxury is not the aim of your billionaire status. It is about establishing a legacy. The goal is to create opportunities for people who are marginalized in society. It entails the reforming of systems that affect the most vulnerable. It refers to the financing of notions imbued with heavenly strategy. It is about creating possibilities for people who have never had them before. You have a deliverer's mission, a reformer's heart, and a builder's mind. And heaven is releasing prosperity to you because the wealth you possess alters the life of another. This is why darkness responded so aggressively towards you. It was not meant to impede your prosperity. It was striving to stop your impact, but impact is irrevocable when generated by God. Chosen one, hear this clearly. You are in the process of shifting from survival to strategy, from waiting to building, and from hoping to doing. You are entering a time when the resources, relationships, and revelations you need will start to manifest with divine precision. There will be no element of chance involved. It will be completely purposeful. Everything is speeding up, aligning, and making sense as your life enters a supernatural rhythm. You weren't chosen to pursue fortune. Channeling was allocated to you. No, you weren't chosen to avoid difficulties. The task of altering it was assigned to you. You were not chosen to ascend independently. You were chosen specifically to elevate others. As we move on with this next revelation, allow your spirit to accept the fact that heaven is not simply calling you to a higher realm. Heaven is calling you to align with your everlasting purpose. You are not being promoted just because you overcame difficulties. Your genuine identity was exposed as a result of the shaping, refining, and transforming you experienced during adversity. As a result, you're getting promoted. Dear Anointed One, the next stage of your journey requires that you no longer see yourself as someone attempting to become anything, but rather as someone who has finally accepted who you are. Your spirit is now waking up to the vast potential that heaven has bestowed upon you, and destiny has been patiently waiting for you to recognize your own existence. One has been picked. The way God has conditioned you to think beyond yourself is one of the most powerful evidence that your calling has enormous weight. Despite your own struggles, you remained concerned about the storms that others were experiencing. You were obliged to help people in even greater need despite your own feelings of inadequacy. Despite the pain in your heart, you summoned the bravery to inspire another person. That is not ordinary behavior. That's divine wiring. Individuals who prioritize their own interests do not receive billionaire mantle awards. Those with compassion that transcends beyond their own world are provided it. This compassion is the basis for your trustworthiness. Heaven understands that the wealth you possess will not be accumulated. It is likely to run smoothly. It will construct. It will accomplish repair. It will revitalize dying dreams and restore water to arid areas. Examine your response to pain, both your own and that of others, Anointed One. You are experiencing deep emotions. You perceive sorrow in a way that others often ignore. You recognize duties that others overlook. Heaven considers your sensitivity as a qualification, even if you may have seen it as a weakness. Empathy is what drives impact. Only those who have felt the weight of devastation will be eager to reconstruct wholeness. The only person prepared to strive for abundance is someone who has felt the agony of poverty. The only person who will persist on delivering light is someone who has known darkness. Sensitivity is not indicative of weakness. This is prophetic perception. When prosperity begins to flow into your life on a scale you have never seen before, discernment will lead your stewardship. The reason heaven has been vigorously extending your faith, Chosen One, is that the next season requires a vision that sees past barriers. You have been taught to recognize opportunities even when others see them as impossible. Your training has prepared you to hear God's whisper among the din. You have been asked to follow directions that appear to be unreasonable. This level of obedience is extremely rare, which is why your ascension is unstoppable. The faith required for billionaire assignments is steadfast. It is not the faith that seeks clarity, but the faith that moves because God has told it to. You have continually demonstrated this. Whenever you disregarded the logic of staying indoors and went outside, each time you placed your trust in God in the face of adversity. Heaven documented every occasion in which you followed without knowing what would happen. Anointed One, the transition that is currently taking place in your life is not only personal but also generational. The effects of God's elevation of a selected individual last well beyond their lifetime. You bear the burden of generational transformation. Your climb will break cycles that have existed for decades. Your abundance will reverse the limits placed on your bloodline. Individuals will benefit from your influence, which will offer them with previously unattainable chances. Your decisions will have an impact on those who follow you. You may have grown up in environments where need was the norm, limitations were expected, and desires were stifled. Nonetheless, you will not repeat this pattern. You are going to reverse it. You will set a new standard. Heaven is preparing you to construct a new paradigm of possibilities, and it is providing you with the resources you need to make lasting change. I would like to reveal a sacred topic to you, Chosen One. The intricacy of your mission explains why your struggles were so intense. The enemy did not strike you at random. Rather, he attacked you in line with heaven's plan for your life. Each spiritual battle was linked to a particular facet of your destiny. Your intellect has solutions, which is why you were exposed to mental abuse. You were emotionally attacked because your heart is a place of healing. You were financially attacked since your profession required wealth. The fact that you are still standing demonstrates that you cannot be defeated, since you battled the hardest in the regions where you are designed to provide the most freedom. You wouldn't be here if your struggles were meant to kill you. Nonetheless, you are. The season you're entering will disclose why you couldn't give up, whether it was because you're stronger, sharper, more awakened, more aligned, or anointed. Everything you went through shaped the version of you who could responsibly manage supernatural wealth. Your stewardship will be guided by the humility you gained through suffering. Your decisions will be guided by the wisdom you gained during difficult circumstances. Your impact will be led by the compassion you gained through your hardship. There was no waste, randomness, or meaninglessness. You, the chosen one, are the vessel heaven has been creating to retain both purity and might. As we move forward in this divine unfolding, your spirit begins to discern a truth. Your brain is only now starting to catch up with you. We were never meant to live a humdrum existence. Your entire experience, from your earliest recollections to your deepest traumas, has been divinely crafted to prepare you for a mantle that only a few people on this world will ever hold. Anointed One. The wealth linked with your name is not the consequence of good fortune. Heaven is currently ready to reveal why your path is so unusual, painful, and distinctive. It is a divine assignment. You are entering a season in which what was once viewed as a setback will now be exposed as a preternatural arrangement, and what was once a source of suffering will now function as a source of power. Heaven has seen how you traversed seasons that were meant to destroy you, yet instead of crumbling you, transformed. Despite your lack of clarity, you gained insight. You increased your faith despite the lack of actual evidence. Despite the lack of development, you gained a higher capacity for patience. That is an indicator that the individual has been chosen for severe elevation. Anyone can thrive in the presence of blessings. However, only those who have been chosen can grow under pressure. You not only withstood but also mastered pressure. You learned how to deal with uncertainty while staying focused on your goal. Even when you couldn't find him, you developed the ability to walk with God. You learned to retain a sense of stability despite life's attempts to upset everything important to you. These characteristics have now developed into the spiritual foundation for your next step. Anointed. Another reason heaven chose you is your ability to love with integrity despite being wounded. Many people face an identity crisis as a result of disappointment. Their sympathy dries up, their trust dwindles, and their spirits become frigid. However, you kept a compassionate heart. Despite several opportunities to close your heart, you kept it open. You refused to let betrayal poison you even if it stabbed you. You did not deliberately ignore loneliness even when it dominated your nights. In a tough world, having a tender heart does not indicate weakness. It serves as evidence of divine preservation. Heaven protected your heart because your wealth requires empathy. You are not being exalted to accumulate, but to inspire. Selected. Your connection with dread has experienced one of the most important changes in you. There was a moment when fear held you back, dominated you, or made you wonder if you deserved more than just survival. However, fear is no longer in command. You no longer move the way you once did. You no longer practice self-criticism in the same way that you formerly did. You are not as concerned about the possibility as you once were. Instead, you rise, lean in, stretch, and comply. Your faith has become stronger than your circumstances, reducing the power of fear. That expansion is not an accident. Heaven has been infusing courage in you as the next chapter of your life requires daring. The ability to cultivate boldness, lead boldness, produce boldness, and enter spaces that no one in your past has ever entered. Anointed One. Wealth directed at you is not accidental. It's strategic. Before heaven releases billion-dollar missions, the vessel must be readied, which you are already doing. The goal of this preparation isn't to have everything figured out. It refers to the growth of one's spirit, the formation of a feeling of purpose, and the preservation of one's individuality. The bulk of people want wealth in order to feel important. However, you have already found your significance in God. Most people seek validation through material success. However, you have already been validated by your survival. The majority of people seek achievement in order to develop a sense of self. However, you have already discovered your identity through your vocation. That is why you are considered as trustworthy. You will not be influenced by the wealth you acquire. It will reinforce what has already been healed, awakened, and relinquished. Selected. Heaven is currently making connections that were previously thought inconceivable. Individuals who hold the keys to your next level are drawn to you without reason. Opportunities that were previously unavailable are now easily entering your orbit. Ideas that were formerly seen as exceedingly taxing now appear to be completely natural. This is the result of the meeting of fate and timing. The supernatural flow into which you are currently entering serves as proof that your delay was not due to denial. It was an act of preparedness. Acceleration is caused by alignment, which is established by preparation. You are about to experience extraordinary acceleration. Not chaotic speed, but heavenly momentum. The kind of momentum that causes doors to open before you even approach them, answers to arrive before you ask, and provision to emerge before you plan. This is the rhythm that heaven assigns to individuals who successfully pass the character tests. Listen carefully. Anointed One. You have now entered a stage of life in which God no longer hides the growth He has been cultivating within you. This is the moment of disclosure, when private development becomes a public demonstration. Individuals who have previously ignored you will suddenly notice your ascension. Individuals who earlier voiced skepticism will now recognize your assignment. Individuals who once underestimated you will now see the mantle as lying on your life. However, the objective of this elevation is not to contradict anyone. It's about realizing the potential God had for you before you were born. You are about to fulfill a destiny that has been patiently awaiting the advent of the right version of you. Chosen One. Your climb is no accident. You are climbing by a call, and heaven will not allow any impediment to the following phase. Chosen One. As we embark on this next sacred phase, your spirit is beginning to understand a notion that your brain had previously found difficult to grasp. Elevation is not an event. It's an acknowledgement. Heaven did not make a spontaneous choice to bless you. Heaven recognizes your previous interior progress. The experiences you've had have helped shape a vessel capable of supporting riches, influence, and responsibility without collapsing under their weight. Anointed One. The season you are currently entering is not the start of your calling. Rather, it is the unveiling of it. The shift that is occurring in your surroundings is simply the external world recognizing a fact that has been forming within you for a long time. Chosen One. One of the most frequently overlooked signs that an individual has been chosen for divine ascension is the way heaven shapes their identity before it manifests in their world. Consider the times when your soul revealed desires that transcended the capabilities of your circumstances. Consider the times when a part of you argued that you were meant for something more, despite the fact that nothing in your surroundings supported this belief. The whispers were not just fantasies. They were spiritual previews. Heaven was showing you glimpses of your future life. Long before your future was ready to welcome you, you were introduced to it. The pressure from the tension between your emerging identity and your existing position shaped you into a leader capable of leading with conviction. Heaven has also watched your reaction to seasons of injustice and unfairness, Anointed One. There were times when you were treated unfairly, your diligence was ignored, and you were assigned duties that beyond your age, resources, or support system. Those times were not punishments, but rather assessments of heart position. Many people succumb to injustice, develop hatred, and choose retribution over personal development. Nonetheless, you chose humility, character, and the ability to rise without causing harm to others, to forgive without expecting an apology, and to move forward despite the fact that you still had questions. Heaven rewards the rarity of such integrity. Another reason why heaven has chosen you for billionaire-level effect is that you have the ability to stand alone without surrendering your identity. You developed the ability to survive periods of seclusion and isolation in which no one offered you support, understanding, or celebration. Nonetheless, your calling remained. Solitude became your haven rather than your captivity. God honed your hearing in that peaceful setting, and your spirit learned to recognize His voice even when it contradicted your surroundings. That sensitivity is critical because heaven's chosen millionaires do not follow worldly patterns. Rather, they follow spiritual guidance. Only those who have learned to hear God in the dark will be able to listen to Him when the light is turned on. Anointed One, consider the dreams that refuse to let you sleep. The reason these aspirations continue is not your ambition, but their inheritance. They arise from divinity rather than the ego. You were designed with an interior blueprint that is incompatible with simply survival. You were endowed with a mission that requires expansion. Despite the challenges you faced in life, your ambitions remained. Despite the fact that anxiety tried to limit your thoughts, your vision returned. Your spirit insisted that something remarkable was developing, that resilience is uncommon even when circumstances mocked your promise. It represents an individual who has been tied by fate. Heaven is elevating you, chosen one as a result of your responsibility. The bulk of people avoid taking responsibility. You leaned into it. The bulk of people avoid confronting challenges. You embrace them. Pressure is a frequent complaint among the general public. Working beneath it was a talent that you learned. You became the person on whom others relied despite the fact that you had no one to depend on. You were willing to endure wealth that did not belong to the majority, so you carried weight that did not belong to you. Your ability to manage responsibilities during times of scarcity indicates that you will be able to do so successfully during times of prosperity. God does not gift billions on those who are incapable of managing thousands. Yet you overcome your inadequacy by grace, which is now recognized as supernatural evidence. Anointed One. The next stage of your trip will reveal an important insight. Your rise will be undeniable as the characteristics that once made your life difficult will now be visible. Your leadership abilities will be extremely successful due to your sensitivity. Your empathy will help you become a transformational giver. Because of your endurance, you will become a powerful figure. Your wisdom will protect the wealth that God has bestowed on you. There is nothing arbitrary about you. Every piece of you was created with purpose. Chosen One, you are now at the point where your preparation will meet divine alignment. This is the point where the invisible becomes visible. This is the point at which the promise becomes real. This is the point where heaven proclaims the current moment and no force can stop it. You're prepared. Your spirit is prepared. The wealth allocated to you is approaching with divine momentum planned by the God who observed your entire trip and yet considered you worthy of this mantle. Your fate is predetermined. Chosen One. As we enter the final stage of your prophetic journey, your spirit is acquiring a thorough awareness of the preparations that heaven has made for you. Everything within you is beginning to agree with the plain fact that your rise is not possible. This is a prophecy. Anointed One, The responsibility for your life is a burden that few can bear, and the mantle that falls on your shoulders is a creation that heaven has specifically prepared for you. You had not anticipated ordinary influence. You were created to have an incredible influence. You were not prepared for little assignments. You were subjected to a generational transformation, and the time has come for the indisputable strength of everything that has been hidden, delayed, and cultivated in silence to emerge. Chosen one, you have an unusual object. The ability to convert what was previously a source of pain into tools that supply you with power. Your old wounds no longer bother you. They are sources of revelation. The conflicts you faced are no longer apparent as scars. These are the qualifications. The spots where you failed are now where your spirit is strongest. You developed the ability to tolerate disarray without impairing your ability to think properly. You learned how to remain calm amid turbulent times. Even when your environment tried to strangle your mission, you learned to keep your essence alive. These characteristics are not coincidence. An individual who has been chosen to manage riches possesses attributes that will interrupt repressive cycles, repair foundations, and change destiny. Heaven has investigated your heart during seasons that you were unaware were difficult, anointed one. The situations in which you maintained a generous attitude despite your resource limitations. The situations in which you chose forgiveness despite having every reason to be opposed. Even when your own soul felt exhausted, you instilled vigor in others. These weren't random acts of kindness. They indicated spiritual position. Your comfort is not being studied in heaven. It looks into your character, which has been exhibited in the face of adversity that would normally break most people. When bitterness threatened to consume you, you preserved your compassion. Despite the fact that disappointment tried to poison you, you remained optimistic. You remained stable despite fear's attempts to uproot you. This is why heaven can now entrust you with more than you have ever possessed. Chosen one, you are also entering a new level of discernment. You are getting an awareness of what is and is not in alignment. Your sense of others' motives is crystal clear. You are acknowledging opportunities that have heavenly attributes. You are going through spiritual transformations that are not yet fully realized. This improved discernment is not accidental. It is indispensable. Billionaire-level responsibilities require a level of spiritual sensitivity to protect you from distractions, impediments, and misaligned connections. Heaven does not gift you riches unless it also provides you with the wisdom to manage it. You are being advised to act completely on spiritual guidance, not on external pressure, dread, or the expectations of others. The ability to listen and cooperate is the foundation of your upcoming season. Anointed one. This is one of the most important aspects of your calling. Your fortune is not being given to you as a result of your request. It is impending due to the importance of the infrastructure you will build with it. Luxury is not the motivation for your ascension. The subject is legacy. It is about restoring communities that have survived generations of adversity. The goal is to create systems that empower those who lack a voice. It is concerned with the financing of concepts that have been overlooked by traditional power systems. The goal is to break the shackles that have held families together for decades. You are not promoted to a position of prominence. You are being lifted to liberate, and freedom requires more resources than the norm. This is why you have been chosen by heaven. Your spirit has matured enough to handle abundance, and your heart is pure enough to withstand influence. Selected. The version of you that is currently emerging is the one that paradise has been waiting for. The version that is self-assured without hubris, walks in authority without being intimidated, leads with compassion without being devoured, and bears humility without undermining its mission. This version of yourself is attentive, focused, and prepared. Heaven is now releasing what was previously withheld from you because you are ready. Not because you were undeserving, but because time is everything. Destiny unfolds at the pace of preparation, and preparedness has been attained. This is audible to the Anointed One. The upcoming events will not unfold gradually. It will happen unexpectedly, accompanied by a series of alignments, a surge of opportunity, a wave of provision, and a river of divine connections. Doors that were previously thought to be sealed will be seen to open. You'll find that previously unreachable regions are now within reach. Resources will gather around your assignment in a manner comparable to the attraction of iron to magnet. There will be no random selection. God will be the source of everything. You are entering a time when heaven supplies funds for its creations, and heaven has fashioned you for greatness. Chosen one. Your purpose has been awakened, your mantle recognized, and your wealth is on its way. Heaven's decree is impregnable to all obstacles. Chosen one. As this word sinks into your spirit, rest confident that heaven is already working on your behalf. You are currently at your Kairos moment, the divinely designed time when purpose and provision intersect. May the Anointed One lead you through every step, align your decisions, and open every door required for your task without resistance. The transmission has begun. Advance with unshakable faith, gratitude, and respect. If this message validates God's words that have already been spoken into your consciousness, please share your statement below and stay connected to this sanctuary of purpose. Heaven has not yet completed revealing what belongs to you, and your ascension is predetermined. Beloved one, examine your essence right now. For the past 7 days, you've felt pressure in your thorax. The unexpected, unexplained anxiety that wakes you up at night when the house is quiet. Avoid combating it. That's not an assault. Your spiritual sensor detects a significant frequency shift before your eyes do. God is issuing a warning. The billionaire transition is fast approaching your timeline. However, pay close attention, as this is the portion that has not been disclosed to you. This isn't a lottery win. This is not a game of chance. This remuneration applies retroactively to military personnel. Heaven is releasing a backlog of resources from your lineage, including wealth stolen from your ancestors, and placing it in your possession for a specific purpose. You have been appointed as the kingdom's financier. God is not sending this overflow to provide you with comfort. He's transmitting it to make you a threat to the enemy. However, this is a cautionary tale. Your life will be disrupted if you try to keep this high-voltage blessing with a destitution mindset. The protocol is required. The clearance code is required, and if you remain with me, I will immediately provide you with the vault keys. Before we proceed, it is critical that you understand the specific nature of the events taking place in the spirit domain. Because the majority of people are looking for a quick cure or a magic spell to pay their rent, they will most likely skip over this article. Nonetheless, you remain present because your spirit recognizes the unusual nature of the situation. In the next few minutes, I'll reveal the 3-account system designed to prepare you for the excess. I will reveal the 5 distinct spirits who seek high-level prosperity in order to keep them out of your home. At the end of this video, we'll hold an activation ceremony to wrap your life in a new financial mantle. Please avoid skipping any of this. This is not entertainment. This is your transfer briefing. Power cannot be managed unless safety protocols are followed. As a result, I require immediate clarification on who is willing to assume this responsibility. Who is among the remnant that God is preparing to serve as the treasurers of the end times? If that is the case, please subscribe to this channel right away to ensure that you are in sync. Press the like button to signal to the spiritual realm that you are awake and attentive. In addition, please submit a statement in the remarks section below. Do not just type words, type them with purpose. Write, "I am the container." Execute the action immediately. Prove to the adversary that you are no longer operating in the shadows. Now, let's look at your actual location. I'm curious about the moment you kept hidden from everyone else. A moment that makes you feel ashamed, even though it should not. It is 2 a.m. You are awake while the rest of the world sleeps. You could be perched on the edge of your bed or in a parking lot, looking at the steering wheel of your car. The sole source of illumination is the blue radiance emitted by your smartphone. You're currently viewing a digital bank statement. You're feeling a physical knot in your stomach as you scroll through a PDF of invoices. It is extremely cold. It is constricted. It feels like a heavy stone resting at the base of your stomach. You look at the figures, and they are illogical. You are conscientious in your work. You engage in prayer. You contribute by tithing. You offer assistance to others. You have a heart of gold. However, the calculations are inconclusive. You feel like a lion confined in an inadequately sized enclosure. You are consumed by a desire to build orphanages, provide financial assistance to churches, help your family, and transform your community. You are currently trapped in a $10 reality despite having billion-dollar dreams. This disconnect generates a specific type of discomfort. It represents the humiliation of powerlessness. So, you ask God, why? Why did you give me this vision if you weren't going to provide me with the necessary resources? Why did you elevate me to the status of a spiritual monarch while allowing me to live as a pauper in the physical world? Is this an act of retribution? Was there an error on my end? Please listen carefully. Select individuals. The anxiety you feel at the exact moment, the frustration that drives you to yell. I'd like you to reframe the situation at this point. This is not indicative of failure. That indicates a lack of alignment. Your internal frequency has already changed to the billionaire setting, which is why you are in agony. However, your external reality remains in poverty mode. 30. The heat is caused by the friction between your identity and your location. Anxiety is not the cause. Kinetic energy is waiting to be released. You see, the world informs you that you are concerned about your financial situation. However, the Holy Spirit is informing me that you are agitated because you are pregnant with a purpose that requires resources that you do not currently have. You are not experiencing financial difficulties. You don't have enough momentum. You are a conduit designed to transport an ocean. However, you are currently only observing a small amount. This void you are feeling is actually the groaning of a vessel pleading for a refill. Pay close attention to the Hebrew term used in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. But remember the Lord your God, for He is the one who grants you the capacity to accumulate wealth. It is not just financial. The term coach means vigor. It represents vigor. It indicates the ability to persevere. Means the vigor of a wild ox. God doesn't simply give you money. If He provided you with currency without coach, the gold would be so heavy that it would break your back. He gives you the internal structure, capacity, and power to create and sustain wealth. As a result, God is not examining the debt while you are sitting at 2 a.m. and examining the invoices. He is examining the structure of your spirit. He's inspecting your coach. He is conducting an assessment of your abilities due to the upcoming opening of the floodgates. The retroactive military payment is now being processed. The billionaire transition isn't a metaphor. The movement of resources is the case. However, the following is a perilous reality that must be addressed before the transfer. You believe that the issue is a lack of sufficient income. You believe that if God deposited $1 million into your account right now, all of your problems would be solved. You're mistaken. You would not be saved if God released that amount of heavy, high-voltage resources into your life at this time, given your current spiritual infrastructure. It would be a complete disaster for you. For what reason? Why? Because the problem isn't with the supply. The container is the problem. Imagine you're praying for rain while holding a container. You're asking God to send a flood. However, you are unaware that your container has a hole in its bottom. A void caused by generational trauma, concealed fears, and mindset. By failing to understand the true purpose of this money. If God responds to your prayer and sends rain at this time, the force of the flood will rip the bucket handle off. The water will pass directly through you. You'll be left with a broken heart and damp palms. As a result, the first stage of this billionaire transition involves refraining from requesting more precipitation. It's repairing the container. The breach needs to be identified. The cavity needs to be repaired. D. We must fortify your vessel's walls to ensure that it will not split during the transfer. Furthermore, the disclosure is not as you perceive it. The problem isn't the excessive spending on coffee. It is a far more profound issue. Something that has been embedded in your subconscious since childhood. Bad spending habits are not the cause of the leak in your bucket. Your theology is the cause of the breach. The lottery mindset has specifically infected the spiritual community. I'd like to address the unadulterated raw thought that has been circling in the back of your mind. I am aware of its presence because I have taken the same seat as you. You examine the reports. You investigate social media platforms. And you see people who are less spiritual, less benevolent, and possibly even more evil than you, living in absolute abundance. They have automobiles. The buildings are theirs. They are free. And a voice in your head whispers, God, why them? What is the reason for your blessing on those who are unaware of your name? While I am here serving you, praying for you, and fasting for you, and struggling to keep the lights on, you are secretly wishing for a rescue operation. While traveling, you mentally practice scenarios. Imagine you're checking your bank account and come across a mysterious deposit. You envision a distant relative bequeathing you an inheritance. You anticipate that God will activate the lottery for you. You believe that if God just gave you the money, everything would be fine. Please listen carefully. Select individuals. That is the source of the disclosure. The transfer has yet to take place because the expectation is for a magical rescue that requires no preparation. Because you would not be in command of that prosperity if God had bestowed it on you immediately, while you are in this passive state of waiting. You would be a victim of it. The lottery perspective contends that money is required to resolve one's problems. According to the kingdom mindset, I must have the ability to solve the world's problems. Money is simply the tool that I use to accomplish this. It's unlikely that God will grant you a lottery win. He is too fond of you to treat you like a charity case. He will give you something that is both permanent and hazardous. He is assigning you a task. This billionaire transition does not compensate for your anguish. It is a deployment for your future. We should go back to the manual. Verse 18 of Deuteronomy chapter 8. I have previously addressed this issue. However, we must address this verse immediately. It is said that he gives you the ability to accumulate wealth. When we read the word power in English, we usually interpret it as permission. We believe that God is giving you the opportunity to become wealthy. No, the Hebrew term used there is coach. Pray that in your heart, coach. It is a muscular and reptile-related term. It implies that a lizard's tail can be regenerated, indicating its vitality. It suggests the stamina of a bovine capable of plowing a field for 12 hours without rest. Coach is not a check that comes in the mail. Coach serves as a power plant. It is a divine generator that is implanted in your spirit and creates abundance out of thin air. God does not provide you with fruit when He gives you coach. He's providing you with the root system. He is equipping you with the ability to observe a crisis and identify a solution worth billions. He is offering you the fortitude to deal with the stress of high-level decision-making. He has given you the authority to command that resources be delivered to you. Therefore, instead of searching for the product, inspect your engine. You are frustrated because you are requesting apples from God while He is attempting to establish an orchard within your bosom. He does not want you to have money for an extended period. He desires that you have the ability to generate wealth for future generations. He desires that you be a fountain, not a puddle. A pool anticipates precipitation. A fountain is powered by an underground, invisible source that propels water upward. You're moving from puddle thinking to fountain thinking. You may be wondering, what about the years I lost? Or, what about the struggle? What is the current status of the debt that is weighing heavily on me? You're being heard. This brings us to the most powerful concept in the entire broadcast. This establishes the legal foundation for the billionaire transition. Shalom is a Hebrew concept. The word's root is shalom, which is commonly associated with the concept of harmony. However, its meaning is much more aggressive. It expresses completeness. It means restitution, but in biblical law, restitution is never one-on-one. The law requires a criminal who is apprehended to repay the stolen property sevenfold. He must not only repay the amount he took, but also pay interest, penalties, and damages. Consider the last decade of your life. Consider the tension, the sleepless nights, the missed opportunities, and the strained relationships caused by financial hardship. That was not simply a case of bad luck. That was theft. Your potential has been snatched by the devourer, your opponent. Fortunately, there is some good news. God is the just arbiter, and He has reviewed your life's records. He witnessed the crime and issued a decree of shalom. This suggests that the billionaire shift that occurs for you is not arbitrary. Back pay is the term. It is interest calculated retroactively on each tear you have shed. It represents the sevenfold return on each seed planted in the earth during the famine. For a brief moment, imagine a courtroom in paradise. The gavel has just been lowered. The judge made a favorable decision on your behalf. The antagonist has been directed to repay the debt. This is the cause of the significant change. It's not just your salary. It is the culmination of generations of righteous struggle in your lineage. They are now receiving the wealth that the wicked had previously amassed. However, there is one caveat. This is the conclusion you must understand. Shalom is in your grasp. This is the impending deluge. Coach is accessible to you. This is the capacity to produce. However, coach requires a framework to facilitate the flow of information. A grid is required for the distribution of electricity. Pipes are required for water. If the Hoover Dam released all of its water today and you could only capture it with a garden hose, the hose would explode due to the pressure. The majority of the chosen are now standing beneath the floodgates of paradise, each holding a spoon. You're requesting an ocean. However, your emotional capacity, management systems, habits, and structure are all designed to hold a teaspoon. If God answers your prayer today, the blessing will become a curse. It would evict you. Therefore, the question is not whether God will provide the funds. The question is, do you have the utensil or bucket? Do you own the war treasury, or do you just have a checking account? In the coming minutes, I will demonstrate how to construct the container. I will give you the blueprint for the 3-account system that will elevate you from consumer to commander. To construct this container, you must mentally accompany me to a specific location. I'd like you to imagine yourself in a peaceful setting, seated at a substantial oak workstation. Clutter is absent. There are no unpaid invoices scattered across the surface. You are presented with a laptop that is currently connected to your banking interface. There is no such thing as delusion. This serves as a foreshadowing of your upcoming circumstances. There isn't a single checking account on the screen for you to frantically swipe your card against until it declines. That's the behavior of a castaway, not a steward. Rather, you see 3 separate vaults. This 3-account system regulates the flow of billionaire shifts. The repository is the initial account. This is not a savings account. This is a sacred account. In ancient times, the storehouse was where the initial produce was stored. The portion belonged to God. When the transfer has an impact on your life, the money must first be moved into the storehouse. This is your seed, offering, and tithe. For what reason? As a result of eating the first portion, the rest of the harvest is cursed. You are telling God that I have more faith in my intestines than in your supply. Your spiritual insurance policy is the storehouse. It asserts that you are a channel and not a dam. The military chest represents the 2nd account. This is the one that is absent. This is why you are still having difficulty. The war treasury is not intended for spending. It's not for a new car. It is not meant for a vacation. It's intended for coach. It's the capital. It's ammunition. This cash is sitting in this location, waiting for a divine command to spread. It is the capital used to buy land, start a business, or invest in kingdom initiatives. It serves as the groundwork for your future empire. You will not have a future if you consume your spawn. The war chest is where you can demonstrate your ability to be trusted with power. Bread is the final account. This is meant for your use. This is for your shelter, food, and clothes. Live on this. The impoverished mindset's fatal error is that any incoming funds are immediately transferred to the bread account. You eat all foods. As a result, you may question why you lack authority. The protocol for the billionaire shift reverses this flow. Prior to the war treasury, funds are received at the storehouse. The bread is the sole recipient of the remaining portion. To govern with the surplus, one must first learn to live on the remainder. You may be thinking, but I barely have enough for bread right now. How can I divide it into 3 equal portions? Chosen one, you do not need to wait until you are wealthy to start this system. You set up this system with the intention of accumulating wealth. Even if you only have $10, divide it. $1 to the storehouse, $2 to the war chest, and $7 for bread. So, Before the billion arrives, you are creating the neural pathways of a billionaire in your brain. You're repairing the opening in your bucket. I must demonstrate the importance of this matter. I'm going to tell you a story about a man named Michael. This is an authentic story. Michael, like you, was a chosen one. For 20 years, he prayed for a breakthrough. He was generous and caring, but he lacked a vessel. He did not have a war chest. The breakthrough happened in one day. Following a series of miraculous events, he received a lump sum of $10 million. He prayed for the transfer. I'd like you to focus on the moment he received the check. Imagine him standing in the bank lobby, clutching the piece of paper. His hands trembled. He felt a sense of victory. He believed the war was over, but he only had a spoon, not a bucket. He transferred the $10 million into a single large bread account. He acquired the mansion. He purchased the automobiles for his acquaintances. He offered financial assistance to every relative who shed a tear. He believed the supply was limitless. I'd like to arrange for you to see him again, 2 years later. He is currently sitting on the floor of the vacant mansion. The furniture has been repossessed. The electricity has been turned off. The hallway echo of his footsteps sounds like an accusation. He is not just impoverished. He is shattered. He is in debt. He is enraged with God and depressed. He screams at the ceiling. Why did you give this to me if you intended to take it away? But it was not revoked by God. Michael disposed of it. He ate his seed. He depleted his war chest. He lacked the internal structure to withstand the weight of glory, which crushed him. The blessing became a burden because of his lack of stewardship architecture. I am not telling you this to scare you. Rather, it is to protect you. Before the fall, you were Michael. You can currently open the accounts before the deposit is cleared. So, why have you not implemented this measure yet? Why do you feel resistance as I speak? Right now, we should do some shadow work. I'd like you to briefly close your eyes in the present moment, at your current location. Don't move your body. Simply focus your attention inward. Examine the resistance. Doesn't it feel like your throat is constricted? It evokes apprehension. That hesitation conceals a crude, repulsive idea. The whispering implies that I must be accountable for my finances if I organize them. I am vulnerable to becoming a victim as long as I am in financial distress. I have the authority to assign responsibility to the economy. The system may be held accountable. I am allowed to fault God. However, if I construct the vessel and receive the funds, but am ultimately unsuccessful, I am solely responsible. You worry about accountability. You're concerned that money will alter your personality. You have spent your entire life believing that money is the root of all evil. You've seen wealthy people who are cruel and arrogant, and you made an inner vow, a secret promise to yourself as a child, that you'd never be like them. You are subconsciously displacing money. You undermine your own blessing by linking poverty to holiness. It is critical that you immediately terminate that agreement. Visualize that vow as a heavy gray coat that you have been wearing for decades in your mind. It emits an aroma of shame and dust. It is the victim's coat. I want you to grasp the collar of that coat with your spiritual hands, feel its texture, and in your imagination, rip it off your shoulders and toss it into the fire on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Dispose of it. Feel the air as it strikes your skin. You are liberated from the deception. Money is not malevolent. Money is impartial. Money functions as a magnifying glass. When one is proficient, money enhances their abilities. Money renders one a philanthropist if they are generous. Money provides a sword to a kingdom warrior. The system, the storehouse, the war chest, and the bread are currently in your possession. You have shed the cloak of poverty. However, there is still a single obstacle that prevents you from achieving your goals. A persistent apprehension, a voice that asks, "But where does this money originate? Is it truly God? Alternatively, is it a snare?" You are prepared for the truth. You are prepared to comprehend the precise origin of this billionaire shift. I must caution you that the information I am about to provide will challenge your preconceived notions about the operation of God. It entails a transfer from an unexpected source. The coat of poverty has been removed by you. In your mind, you have established the three-account system. However, you continue to harbor reservations. The sensation is palpable. The fear is a quiet, persistent apprehension that you have been hesitant to express aloud due to the perception that it is unappreciative. However, we are going to bring it to the forefront at this time. You are apprehensive that this money will alter your personality. You fear that if the billionaire shift occurs and you awaken with 7 figures in your account, you will lose your soul. Your relationship with God will be severed. You will emulate the arrogant, greedy individuals who have caused you harm in the past. This apprehension is not irrational. You have observed it occur. You have observed individuals transform into monsters as they acquire a small amount of power. You have observed pastors accumulate wealth and cease to communicate the truth. You have observed your friends receive promotions and cease to respond to your phone calls. And in your heart, you have such a profound love for God that you would prefer to remain impoverished and in close proximity to Him rather than become wealthy and disengaged. That is an admirable apprehension. However, it is founded on a fabrication. The following is the truth regarding money. Money is not a corrupting factor. The nature of money is to reveal. Money functions as a spiritual magnifying glass. Money will transform an arrogant and impoverished individual into a despot. However, money will transform you into a philanthropist if you are both generous and impoverished. Money will extend the global reach of your kindness if you are kind when you have nothing. The mere fact that you are concerned about this indicates that you are secure. The arrogant are not concerned with the possibility of losing their soul. The character of the greedy is not a concern. Your qualification is proven by your fear. However, the moment of truth has now arrived, the chosen one. At this juncture, everything transitions. Lean in close to me. I require you to eliminate all sources of distraction in the room. I am about to disclose the genuine origin of this billionaire shift. And it is not what you assume. This is not the type of instruction you received in Sunday school. You have been operating under the assumption that in order for you to be blessed, God must generate new money. Do you believe that He is required to print it in heaven and then send it down to earth? You believe that this wealth is a gift. You're mistaken. This wealth is not a gift. Reassignment is the term. The wealth of the sinner is reserved for the just, as stated in Proverbs chapter 13, verse 22. Read it once more with your spirit. It is being stored when it is laid up. It is currently being stored. Management is underway. However, who is responsible for its oversight? The wicked, the sinner, and the adversaries of God. The enemy has been accumulating the resources of this planet for generations. In order to establish his kingdom, advance his agenda, suppress the truth, and oppress God's people, he has employed gold, land, media, and technology. He has been occupying property that does not belong to him. Your name is recorded on the deed which he has been using to spend money. However, the lease is expiring. This billionaire shift is not a lottery. It is a hostile takeover. It is a divine asset recovery operation. You are not receiving a blessing from God. You are being recruited by Him. He is weary of witnessing His assets being allocated to the financing of darkness. He is in search of a secure residence. He is in pursuit of a location to relocate the assets where they will be utilized for his accomplishments. Additionally, he has observed the earth. Millions of hearts have been examined by him, and his gaze has fallen upon you. I would like you to be aware of the current communication between the Spirit of God and the enemy. I desire for you to be able to hear the direct dialogue that is taking place in the courts of heaven. God is rising from his throne and pointing to the wicked's stockpiles, announcing, "You have held it for an inordinate amount of time. You have misused it for an extended period of time. You have utilized my gold to construct idols. My children have been enslaved by your use of my silver. However, I am launching the transfer protocol today. I am transferring the keys from your possession to the hand of my chosen individual. Not due to their perfection, but rather due to their purification. They possess the war chest. They possess the framework. Hand it over. This alters everything. Are you experiencing a change in your identity? You are not a consumer who is anticipating a handout. You are a spy for the kingdom operating from behind enemy lines. You are an agent who specializes in asset recovery. The money that is deposited into your account is not yours to spend on vanity. You are currently overseeing the king's confiscated contraband. It is for this reason that the assault on your life has been so severe. Your vulnerability was not the reason for the enemy's attack. He was attacking you because you represented a threat to his funding. He was aware that God would employ you to drain his accounts if you ever woke up, realized who you were, or constructed the vessel. You are not merely a believer. You are a financial weapon of mass destruction that is employed against the kingdom of darkness. Therefore, we should immediately administer an exorcism, not to a demon, but to an identity. We will dispose of the consumer identity and activate the commander identity. I would like you to engage in a mental exercise with me. You can do this with your eyes open or closed. I want you to visualize yourself standing in a large warehouse. It is dimly light. In the center of the room, there is a table. On one side of the table stands a shadowy figure. That is the enemy. He is holding a heavy iron key. He is angry. He is trembling. He does not want to let it go. On the other side of the table is you, but you are not the old you. You are wearing the armor of a general. You are standing tall. Behind you stands the Lion of Judah. God speaks one word: release. Watch the enemy's hand open. Watch him slam that iron key onto the table and back away into the darkness. Now, in your mind, I want you to reach out and pick up that key. Feel the cold metal in your hand. Feel the weight of it. That is the key to the storehouse of the wicked. It is now in your possession. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Inhale the authority. Exhale the victim mentality. You have the key. The transfer has been legally authorized. The loop is closed. The billionaire shift is simply the return of stolen property to its rightful owner. But now a new question arises, a dangerous question. Now that you have the key, now that you know this is war money, What do you actually do with it? How do you spend money that is meant for war without blowing your cover? How do you live in Babylon, but operate by the banking laws of Zion? If you start spending this money like a lottery winner, you will expose your position. If you buy flashy cars and the big chains just to show off to your haters, you are not acting like a spy. You are acting like a target. A spy does not draw attention to themselves. A spy moves in silence. A spy uses resources to infiltrate, to influence, and to liberate without the enemy even knowing who hit him. You need a new strategy. You need to know how to deploy this capital with the precision of a sniper. You need to know how to walk into a room and shift the atmosphere with your wallet without saying a word. This is the new paradigm of the wealthy believer. We are not here to look rich. We are here to be dangerous. But listen to me very carefully. This is the warning I promised you. This is the cliffhanger that cannot be ignored. When you picked up that key in the spirit realm, a silent alarm went off in the headquarters of hell. The enemy understands he has lost the assets. He knows the transfer has begun. He cannot prevent God from giving it to you, but he can try to stop you from keeping it. He will not send a demon with pitchforks and horns. This would be too obvious. You'd rebuke that in a second. No, he's smart. He is strategic. He is going to send 5 specific assassins to your door. They will not resemble monsters. They'll look like friends. They'll look like opportunities. They will resemble your own emotions. They are the Treasury's 5 assassins, and they have one mission: to make you fumble the bag and disqualify yourself before the check is cleared. They are targeting your character. They are coming for your ego. They're coming for your relationships. The first assassin is already observing you. He is waiting for the first 0 in your bank account. And if you don't recognize his face or know his name, he'll take you out before you even write your first check. Who are they? So how do you defeat them? Keep your focus, because the war has only just begun. The first assassin is the spirit of Mammon. You've heard his name at church, but you've never seen his face like this. Mammon is more than just a love of money. Mammon, an ancient intelligent spirit, demands to be your master. When you're broke, Mammon ignores you. However, the moment the billionaire shift begins, Mammon knocks on your door and offers you a bargain. He promises you security if you give him your anxiety. He whispers, "You don't have to pray for daily bread anymore. You have a full account. You're safe now." Do you see the trap? Mammon wants you to trust the deposit rather than the depositor. He wants you to look at your bank account to determine your mood. If the number is high, you are satisfied. If the number decreases, you are depressed. That is a sign that Mammon has taken the throne. He intends to disconnect you from the source by making you fall in love with the resource. The second assassin is the spirit of guilt. This is the ghost of your previous poverty returning to haunt your future prosperity. As the blessings begin to pour in, this spirit will stand at the foot of your bed whispering, "You do not deserve this." Look at your family. They're struggling. Who do you think you are to live in the overflow? You should feel ashamed. This spirit harnesses your empathy. It tries to make you feel like a criminal for accepting God's peace. It wants you to sabotage your own success in order to stand in solidarity with those suffering. It teaches you that poverty is humble, while wealth is arrogant. That is a lie from the pit of hell, intended to make you reject the very ammunition God is sending you. The third assassin is the spirit of the consumer. This is the hole in the bucket that I warned about. This spirit is insatiable. It teaches you that the goal of money is to improve your lifestyle, not your impact. It says you've suffered for 10 years. You deserve a reward. Buy the car, the watch, and show them you've made it. The consumer spirit will have you eat your seed before it even hits the ground. It transforms the general into a glutton. It wants you to appear rich rather than be wealthy. The fourth assassin is the spirit of pride. This one's subtle. It doesn't look evil. It seems like a success. It tells you that you did this. You worked hard. You created this. It removes the memory of God's grace and replaces it with your own ego. When pride enters, God leaves. When God leaves, the protection lifts, and the devourer returns 7 times stronger. But now we must face the fifth assassin. This is the most dangerous of all. This is the one that will hurt the most because it wears the faces of people you care about. This is a leech. I need you to focus on a specific moment that is coming for you. It might be a family barbecue. It could be a holiday dinner or simply a random phone call on a Tuesday night. The billionaire shift has begun to manifest in your life. You've paid off your debts. You've purchased a nice house. You are walking with a new level of confidence. Then the leech approaches you. This is a family member or close friend who has witnessed your struggle but has never helped you. But now that you're awake, they're suddenly very present. Listen to the direct dialogue. Listen to the script because it is intended to bypass logic and trigger emotions. They pull you aside and say, "Hey, I am very proud of you. I always knew you'd make it." Then comes a pause. Then comes the sigh. They look down at their shoes and say, "I didn't want to ask, but I'm in a tight spot right now." The car had broken down. The rent is due. I only need a few thousand. It means nothing to you, right? You've got so much now. We are family. You wouldn't let your own blood suffer, right? Do you hear the manipulation? Are you feeling the hook? They are exploiting your shared history. They are using your bloodline to demand access to your kingdom's resources. If you say no, the mask will fall off. The tone changes immediately. They respond, "Oh, I see how it is." You believe you are better than us now. You got a little money and forgot where you were from. You experienced a transformation. You're selfish. I remember buying you lunch 5 years ago. Is this how you're repaying me? This is an assassination attempt. The leech does not want a loan. They want a lifeline. They do not wish to be empowered. They want to be enabled. And giving in to this emotional blackmail will not help them. You're funding their dysfunction. You are taking holy resources from your war chest money that were intended to build the kingdom and pouring them into a black hole. You must understand the spiritual dynamic at hand. The leech believes they are entitled to your harvest without contributing to your labor. They want shalom without suffering. The enemy is using their voice to drain you dry. He understands that if he can tie your finances to a dead weight, you will be unable to fly. Let us examine the biblical context for this confrontation. Luke chapter 16, verse 11. So Jesus says, "If you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will trust you with the true riches?" We need to dig deeper into the context here. This is the parable of the astute manager. Jesus refers to money as mammon, the unrighteous. For what reason? Because in this world, money is contaminated. It is only temporary. It is a component of a failed system. But here's the big reveal. God puts this tainted, temporary worldly money to the test in order to promote you to eternal life. He is saying, I'm watching how you handle the papers. I'm watching how you handle money. How can I believe you have spiritual authority if you let the leech defraud you of your money? How can I put my faith in you if you are paralyzed by guilt? How can I put my trust in you if you worship money? Money is a training ground. It's a simulator. God is not giving you the billionaire shift just to see if you can become wealthy. He is giving it to you to see if you will be faithful. Can you say no to your mother when her request goes against God's instructions for your war chest? Can you say no to your ego's desire to buy a toy rather than a tool? Can you stand firm as a steward when everyone else is pressuring you to spend? This is the ultimate test for the steward. And now I want you to perform a mental action to sever the leech's cords. You do not have to call them. You don't have to fight them physically. We're going to do this in the spirit. I want you to close your eyes and envision yourself standing in a circle of light. This is your stewardship boundary. Outside of this circle, in the shadows, you notice thick gray ropes extending from the darkness, attempting to latch onto your waist, wallet, or heart. These are others' expectations. These are the leech's manipulative words. These are the guilt trips of the past. You have a blue fire sword in your hand. This is the sword of truth. I want you to take a deep breath. And as you exhale, swing the sword around you in a 360-degree arc. Cut the cords. Visualize them snapping. Visualize them collapsing to the ground and disintegrating into dust. Say this in your mind. I owe no man anything except love. My resources belong to God. I'm a steward, not a savior. I cannot save you money. I can only point you to the source. Feel the release of pressure. Feel the weight lifted from your shoulders. You are not obligated to fund the dysfunction of others. You are free to obey God without apologies. But now, as the chosen one, you have a new problem. You've identified the enemy. You've cut the cords. You have closed the door on mammon and guilt. But you're standing on a battlefield with a war chest full of cash. And you're surrounded by targets. You know who the enemy is, but you don't know how to combat him effectively. If you simply throw money at every problem you see, you will run out of ammunition before winning the war. You cannot simply be a giver. You must be a strategic investor. You cannot simply spray bullets. You should be a sniper. You need a weapon. A specific method of deploying capital that deals the most damage to the kingdom of darkness while maintaining your cover. You must understand the Joseph protocol for the years of plenty and the sniper-giving method for the day of battle. Without these weapons, you are simply a wealthy civilian. With them, you will become a kingdom general. The weapon is ready. The blueprint is on the table. Are you prepared to pick it up? The weapon is on the table. It does not resemble a sword. It does not resemble a gun. It resembles a checkbook. It resembles a banking app on your phone. To the rest of the world, this is nothing more than a commercial tool. However, a kingdom general sees this as a launch pad for spiritual missiles. You have cut the leech's cords. You've silenced the voice of guilt. Now you need to learn how to attack. Most Christians engage in what I call shotgun giving. They scatter money everywhere based on emotion. They see a sad commercial and give $10. Their cousin calls crying, and they give $50. They feel guilty in church. They drop a 20 into the bucket. This is a reactive situation. It is weak. It temporarily improves your mood, but it has no effect on the spiritual realm. It's like shooting a shotgun in the dark. You make a lot of noise, but don't hit any targets. The Billionaire upgrade requires you to switch from a shotgun to a sniper rifle. This is the first weapon I'm handing you. The sniper's giving method. I want you to visualize this with me. Close your eyes and envision yourself holding your phone. You've opened your banking app. You're not trembling. You're not concerned about your balance. You're calm. You've identified a specific target. Perhaps it's a single mother praying for rent. Perhaps it is a small ministry that is currently doing the work, but is about to close. You don't call them. You don't ask for credit. You do not mention it on social media. You operate in complete silence. You enter the amount, and it is not small. It is the amount that completely resolves the problem. It is a significant amount. Your thumb hovers over the transfer button. I want you to imagine feeling the weight of that digital button. It's a trigger. When you press it, you are not simply moving currency. You are launching a spiritual airstrike on the spirit of poverty that is attacking that individual. You are removing a generational curse from their life. Press the button. Boom. The money has been sent. The target was hit. The enemy's grip is broken, and you fade back into the shadows. That's sniper giving. It's strategic. It is silent. It is lethal for the kingdom of darkness. The enemy despises this type of giving because he cannot control it. He can't use your pride against you because no one knows what you did. He cannot use your guilt because you acted out of power, not pity. Your mission is to identify 3 targets within the next 30 days. Don't tell them. Do not tell your left hand what your right hand is doing. Simply launch the missile and watch the walls of Jericho crumble before their eyes. This is how you use your war chest. However, if your ammunition runs out, you will be unable to fire the weapon. A sniper rifle is useless without ammunition. This brings us to the most important management framework for the Billionaire shift. How do you make sure you never run out? How do you ensure that when the famine strikes, as it always does, you are the one selling the grain rather than begging for it? You need the Joseph protocol. We need to go back to Genesis, chapter 41. We need to decipher the pattern of the first billionaire in the Bible. Joseph did not become Egypt's ruler because he could interpret dreams. He became ruler because he devised an economic strategy. Pharaoh dreamed of 7 fat cows and 7 skinny cows. Everybody else saw cows. Joseph witnessed a market cycle. He witnessed 7 years of overflow, followed by 7 years of complete economic collapse. And he followed a specific protocol that saved the world. He did not consume all of the corn during the good years. That's all. He developed a storehouse system. Technique number 2 is pattern recognition. Look at the math. During prosperous years, Joseph kept 20% of the harvest and locked it away. He automated his savings. He did not ask them if they wanted to save. He made it a law. He forced the surplus into the reserve. And when the famine struck, the stock markets collapsed, and the real estate bubble burst, Egypt was the only country with bread. The world came to Joseph to purchase. The wealth of the nations was transferred to Egypt, not because they conquered them with swords, but through stewardship. The Billionaire shift is the season of 7 fat cows. It's coming. However, if you consume all 7 cows, the skinny cows will eat you. You must implement the Joseph Protocol immediately, even before the millions arrive. Here's the 20/80 rule. You enter into a covenant with God beginning today. 20% of everything you receive leaves your sight immediately. It doesn't go into the bread account. It goes to the storehouse and the war chest. I would like you to perform a micro-action in your mind. Assume you're logging into your bank account settings. You are looking for the automatic transfer feature. You are creating a rule. Every time a deposit is made, 20% is automatically swept away into a vault that you cannot access. Visualize yourself clicking the Save Settings button. Feel the relief wash over your entire body. You've just automated your discipline. You have just taken your emotions out of the equation. You no longer rely on willpower to save. You rely on a system. This is how you establish a dynasty. You treat the 20% as if it did not exist. This is not your money. It is your future money. It is the seed of the famine. When you adhere to the Joseph Protocol, you walk differently. You walk with the confidence of a man with a full barn, while the rest of the world is concerned about the price of wheat. You become a stabilizing force in a chaotic world. So you now have a full arsenal. You have the commander's identity. You have a defense against the leech. You have the offense of sniper giving. The Joseph Protocol also has a long-term viability. Everything is established. The foundation is poured. The walls are up. The weapon is loaded. You hold a position of authority. You're ready to receive. But there is one last piece missing. The most important part. You can construct the altar. You can rearrange the wood. You can place the sacrifice on top. However, only God has the ability to send fire. You are asking when, Lord? When do I start? When will the first drop of rain fall? You need a sign. You need confirmation from headquarters that your activation was completed and the release order was signed. You do not have to guess. God is precise. He works according to a schedule. There is a specific sign that will appear in your life. It's not a vague feeling. It is a tangible, undeniable indication that the billionaire shift has crossed over from the spirit realm into the physical realm. According to the prophetic timeline, this sign is set to appear within the next 40 days. What is this sign? What actions must you take as soon as you notice it to ensure that the transfer is recorded? You are requesting a signature. The bucket has been constructed by you. The weapon has been loaded. The cords had been severed. However, your human mind continues to seek logical explanations. You are inquiring as to whether this is actually functional. Is this an actual phenomenon or merely a theory? Before we can finalize this, I must establish your faith. I must inform you about a kingdom general that I am acquainted with. We will refer to him as David. David was in the same position as you are at this moment 3 years ago. He was an upstanding individual. He was drowning, despite his love for God. His enterprise had experienced an abrupt breakdown. He was operating a vehicle that was equipped with a check engine light that he was unable to repair. He was residing in the guest room of a relative's residence. Every morning, the humiliation was a physical burden on his chest. He experienced a sense of abandonment from God. David, however, ceased his acts of begging and commenced construction. Despite possessing only $50, he implemented the 3-account system. He established the Joseph Protocol, which automatically transferred 20% of the meager $50 into a vault that was beyond his reach. I found it to be absurd. The calculation was unsuccessful. His rationale demanded that he allocate the funds to food. However, his spirit instructed him to construct the structure. He then employed the sniper giving method. He discovered a widow in his church who was in need of groceries. He refrained from informing her. He did not publish it. He transferred the final portion of his bread account to her in an anonymous manner. The missile was launched by him. The transition occurred 40 days later. He was mistaken about the outcome. The lottery was not won by him. He received a telephone call from a contact with whom he had not communicated in 7 years. A contract that had been in legal limbo for a decade was abruptly released. His debt was not met solely by the sum. It was sufficient to acquire the residence in which he was currently residing. I inquired of David, "Before the call arrived, how did you feel?" And this is what he informed me. He stated that the atmosphere in the room appeared to become oppressive. I experienced a sensation of vibrating. I experienced a sensation of apprehension and excitement, as if I were perched on the precipice of a cliff and the wind was attempting to propel me off. David is currently serving as the general of the kingdom. He provides financial support to orphanages. He provides financial support to businesses. He is aware that he is the manager of God's war chest, which is why he does not worry about money. Additionally, the same God who accomplished this feat for David is currently positioning you. Same structure. The principles are identical. God is identical. Next, we will discuss your timeline. You are interested in determining the date. The cycle of transformation is 40 days, and God operates in cycles. In Noah's time, the old world was washed away by a 40-day rainstorm. The spies remained in Canaan for a period of 40 days. For 40 days, Jesus was in the wilderness. I am currently delivering a prophecy to you. We are now entering a 40-day period of acceleration. A spiritual clock commences to tick upon completion of this video and activation of the seal. You will observe specific indicators that the transfer has been authorized over the next 40 days. I want you to jot these down in your mind. Avoid searching for them. Allow them to locate you. The initial indicator is the quantity of new beginnings. The number 888888 will be displayed to you. Receipts will display it. It will be visible on license plates. Transaction timestamps will indicate this. 8 is the number of new beginnings in biblical numerology. However, the gematria of Jesus, which is the abundance of the new covenant, is represented by 3 8s. Do not dismiss this number as a mere coincidence. The banking system of heaven has sent you a notification that your account status is being updated from debtor to lender. The second indicator is a somatic shift in your hands. He grants you the ability to acquire wealth, as stated in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. The term coach refers to physical force. You will experience an unexpected sensation of warmth or tingling in the palms of your hands within the next 40 days, particularly in your hands. It may occur while you are operating a vehicle. It is possible that it will occur while you are asleep. This is the right of acquisition. Your hands are being spiritually magnetized to capture resources. Do not attempt to expel the heat when you experience it. Say, "I accept the capacity," and extend your hands. The third indicator is the aroma emanating from the warehouse. This appears unfamiliar to the human mind, but it is well known to the spiritual senses. A sudden, Unexplained scent of cedar or rain will be detected. Solomon's temple, which served as the residence of God's wealth, was constructed from cedar. The return of the harvest is symbolized by rain. The ozone of a thunderstorm will suddenly reach your nostrils as you sit in a dry room. Smell the temple's wood. This is the olfactory evidence that the atmosphere of your home is transitioning from a desert to a garden. The glitch is the fourth indicator. This is the one that typically causes people to feel frightened. You may encounter unusual electronic disruptions. Your mobile device may experience freezing. Your computer may experience technical difficulties. The lights may flicker. For what reason? Due to the fact that the spiritual voltage you are carrying is increasing. The billionaire shift is characterized by a high energy frequency, which occasionally causes interference with low-frequency electronics. Do not become enraged if your technology malfunctions within the next 40 days. Generate a smile. It serves as evidence that your energy field is expanding. Oh, this is the list of markers. The 40-day clock is in the process of winding. The signs have been prepared. The general has preceded you. Your pocket contains the weapon. The structure is constructed. We have had an abundance of conversation. We have conducted an adequate amount of analysis. We have acquired knowledge of the frameworks. However, knowledge that is not activated is merely information. Dead weight. You weren't here to acquire yet another theory. You arrived here with the intention of entering a new realm. The period of instruction has concluded. Now is the time for activation. We are on the brink of entering the holiest of holies. We are on the brink of enshrining this message in the heavenly courts. We are about to appoint you as a perilous steward of the kingdom's wealth. You have received sufficient information. It is now time to take action. If you are currently seated in a secure location, I would like you to rise immediately. I would like you to stand up in your spirit, regardless of whether you are driving or unable to move. Straighten your spine. Retract your shoulders. Elevate your chin. You are not a beggar seeking a scrap of bread. You are a general who is reporting for duty. The room is being entered by the king. We are on the brink of stamping the release order. Are you prepared? We have now crossed the threshold. This is not a prayer request. This is a ceremony of coronation. If you are capable of standing, please do so. If you are unable to do so, envision your spirit standing tall in the center of a grand hall, fully armored. The multitude of eyewitnesses is observing. The angels of finance are standing at attention. The monarch occupies the throne. We are in the process of legally activating your status as a kingdom financier. Silence your mind and concentrate on your purpose. The court is currently in session. I declare that the portals of heaven are now open over your life in the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. I summon your spirit man to the forefront. I address the dormant destiny that resides within you. Awaken. The wilderness season has concluded. The period of stewardship has commenced. We recognize the vessel that is present before you, Father. You have observed their tears at 2 a.m. The shame they bore when the card was declined is one that you have witnessed. You have observed the years in which the locusts have consumed. You have observed the faithfulness in the small things when no one was viewing. Today, we do not conceal the anguish. We offer it as a sacrifice on the altar. We implore the fire of shalom to consume the anguish and replace it with strength. I now concur with this selected individual's decision to incorporate the kingdom's protocols into their DNA. I permanently imprint the 3 account systems in your memory. I hereby declare that you will no longer consume your seed. You will possess the fortitude to replenish the storehouse, the sagacity to construct the war chest, and the satisfaction to subsist on the bread. May this framework remain unyielding. I enshrine the Joseph Protocol in your routine. It is my declaration that the spirit of waste has been eradicated from your life. You will experience a 20% reduction in costs. The famine will be under your control. You will be a lender to numerous nations and a borrower from none. Your hands are sealed with the sniper giving method. I anoint your fingers to release resources with precision and force. Demons will flee when you give. Strongholds will be breached when seeds are planted. You are a tool for mass restoration. I now turn my attention to the adversaries that have pursued you. I bind the spirit of mammon by the authority of the highest name. No legal basis is available to you in this instance. Release your grip. The spirit of guilt is bound by me. You are a dishonest individual. This wealth is uncontaminated. The spirit of the leech is bound by me. We sever every soul tie that is ungodly and every manipulative cord. We establish a firewall of protection to safeguard the finances of this selected individual. No weapon that is devised to attack their accounts will be successful. Listen to the king's order. I declare that the billionaire shift is currently operational in your timeline. I direct the north, south, east, and west to relinquish the items they are currently holding for you. I request retroactive military compensation. I address invoices from the past. Receive compensation. I address the obligations of the present. Cancelled. I address the investments of the future. Be multiplied. The anointing of coach is released into your spirit. Acquire the ability to generate. Acquire the endurance necessary to endure. Procure the knowledge necessary to expand. You are not a survivor. You are a commander. You are not a victim. You are a chosen one, a victory. The mantle has been affixed to your shoulders. You possess the key. The signal is imminent. Please refrain from reflecting on Sodom. Refrain from reflecting on the absence. Examine the harvest. I authorize you to proceed and devastate the enemy's camp. Establish the kingdom. Provide sustenance to the hungry. Release the prisoners. Be a threat to God. This item is sealed. It's been completed. It's yours. Stroll through it.